Hi, this is Bob from the Free Film School, and today's short lesson for this week will be Steven Spielberg's easy method for pre-visualization. Now, I read this article in Entertainment Weekly magazine, about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. But anyway, they were talking about Steven Spielberg's method for putting together scenes for a movie. And I believe it was for one of the Jurassic Park movies. And basically, the article was talking about Steven working with an assistant. And what he did was, give me a second here. I'm going to adjust the improvised steady camera hooked up to my iPhone. I think Mr. Spielberg would approve of this, so we get a steady shot. Anyway, so we've got that. So we're rolling here and we're steady. So back to my little monologue here. So this article was in Entertainment Weekly magazine, and they were talking about pre-visualization. And Mr. Spielberg gave an assignment to his one of his assistants, and they were working on one of the Jurassic Park movies. And basically, he wanted scenes like scenes in some famous movies from the past in this movie. He said, "Well, we want the first shot to be sort of like King Kong, where they capture King Kong and they bring him from the island to the city, but they're in the island." So he was saying, well, watch King Kong, and here's a Laserdisc copy of King Kong. And then they had a couple other movies that he wanted scenes like that. And basically what they did was they cut scenes together from other classic movies or movies that Mr. Spielberg liked. And he said, well, I want a scene like this. I want a scene like this. I want a scene like this. So they put them on Laserdisc. And this was also a little review of a editing VHS deck that Mr. Spielberg owned. It was a JVC deck, and it made me go out and buy one. It was an editing VCR. It was a VCR, but it was VHS, but it would do edits. So you could get decent edits on this VHS VCR, and the quality was very good, and it was almost digital, but it bombed. So this article, it was talking about different electronic gadgets, and it was talking about Mr. Spielberg's technique. And he was saying, well, Spielberg owns one of these, so maybe we should pick one up. And I picked one up for $300. It was a $1,000 unit. It was too expensive to be successful, so it bombed. So basically, you can still use that technique today. You can basically take a bunch of DVDs of your favorite movies. Say you want to make a movie. Okay, I want to make a movie, and I don't want a storyboard. You don't have to storyboard. You don't have to find a storyboard artist. You don't have to, what if you're not technically inclined with the storyboard computer software, or you just don't want to do, you're not an artist, so you can't do sketches. I mean, you can do sketches, and if you know what they mean, then it's fine. But if the other people in the production can't figure out what you're trying to say, it's not a good idea. So to do this technique, you can do it now. You don't need a Laserdisc recorder player. They haven't made those in 30 years. But anyway, what you can do, you get a whole bunch of DVDs. Now, I'm going to show you some of Mr. Spielberg's classic DVDs. You get a bunch of DVDs, like if you want a scene like one scene from Close Encounters, or one scene from, say, E.T., or a movie that I think Mr. Spielberg, it wasn't a mistake. Nothing in film is a mistake, because when you get older, people say, well, it's a great movie because it's got some merit. But Here's one, 1941. This is a movie that Spielberg made, and it didn't do well. So you've got your DVDs. You basically, what you can do is you can play your scene. Say if you want an opening scene, a long shot scene, it's your opening scene, and you want it from, say, I don't want to mention his movies because I'm not gonna, yeah, I wouldn't even mention anybody else's movies. I don't want to encourage people to copy other people's movies. I want to be people to be influenced by other movies. You basically are influenced. You don't particularly copy the movie because sometimes people can't copy things exactly right, and it becomes your own. So what I'm trying to say is you basically piece together scenes. You get your DVD player out and you run the DVD, and you either record it on VHS. You can do VHS, do a rough copy on VHS, or you can use a camcorder, like one of these, like this camcorder. This is a DV camcorder from my closet. It they basically used that camcorder, the Panasonic. They also used the Sony's too. The DV mini DV camcorders. They used them for a lot of independent movies. DV was digital video, but it was on metal tape. So you got the best of both worlds. You got a lot of tape, a lot of the quality of tape, the low price of tape, and the high quality of digital. So a lot of independent movies in the 90s used mini DV. A lot of movies were shot on mini DV. A lot of Sundance movies were shot on mini DV. So you can get a camcorder, you put it up to the TV, and you record your scenes. You get a big stack of movies. Another Spielberg movie, The Terminal. This is an interesting movie. Tom Hanks, and he basically gets locked inside a terminal as they close, and it's like a real life movie. It's like a real time movie. It's not really edited. It's got long edits, and it's like you're in the terminal with him all night. But it's an interesting movie. I'm not sure if it was one of his best movies as far as doing well at the box office, but I liked it. I think it was based on another type of movie, a French movie, but it was okay. It was okay. But what I'm trying to say is you get your big stack of DVDs, and you get your notebook or your binder book, and you start watching DVDs first. You don't even have to run the recorder. You would watch your DVDs and pick out the scenes you want from each DVD. And then when you go to record it, you can record it on VHS, you can record it on a camcorder, you can record it on your digital camera. You can record it on whatever camera you have, or whatever machine you have that can record video. And then what you do is you don't have to have perfect edits. You would edit your scenes, and you would build up your whole movie. So you've got your movie, different scenes, say scene 1 through 10 for a 10-minute short, scene 1 through 90 for a 90-minute movie. And you could basically put all your scenes together, and then you would have a pre-visualization of what you want in your film. And then when you go film it, you could transfer the video to DVD or a video CD, or you could transfer it to a memory card, or you could transfer it. A memory card would be good because you could play it back in your camera. You would transfer it to a memory card from your computer. You could transfer it to your camera, and then you can use your camera as a pre-visualization tool. So there's a lot of ways you can do it. You can use a flash drive. and you can use your computer. Um, you can edit it also if you use a flash drive, or you put it on your memory, your memory disk for your camera. You can use that in your computer and use your online editing software or just editing software, video editing software, and you can put together your pre-visualization edit in the software, and then you make a copy, and then you do the other process of putting it on DVD or video CD, or just save it as a video file, and then you can run it on your computer, or you can use another computer on the set, and just play it back there. So there's a lot of ways to do this, but I got this idea from that interview with Steven Spielberg in Entertainment Weekly magazine. He's talking about the JVC VCR, the VHS editing VCR, and he's giving the technique. The reporter is going over his technique of pre-visualization as far as what he likes to see in movies, in his movies, the way he wants his shots in the movies. So that's my tip for today. And also, I'm going to leave you with some books that you can review too. So let me get my books here. To make a low budget movie, this is a good book. It is Robert Rodriguez's A Rebel Without a Crew. And this is a very good movie. It shows you how to do everything as far as making your first short movie or first independent feature or longer form movie for YouTube or for film festivals with a minimal crew or without a crew. And it goes through everything. It goes through pre-production. It goes through lighting. It goes through editing. It goes through the whole process. So this is a classic book, and it's a very good book. Here's an interesting book I picked up. I did a search once on the internet for books like Robert Rodriguez's book, and I got this book, How to Make an Action Movie for $99. This is an interesting movie. It's basically a young movie maker from Florida, and what he does is he makes these movies in his spare time, and he makes car chases. He does the car chases. He does the gun fights. Everything low budget, and the only thing he really pays for is tape. When this book was written, he was saying the only thing he pays for is tape, or now a memory card. You buy a couple memory cards, and it's not really that expensive. It's all for the cheap. You could do these, and YouTube now, if you want to do these little movies for YouTube, you have the distribution, so you can do those, and you're set. So that's the second book. And okay, I've got two more books. This is a good book. It's by D.B. Gillis, and it is called The Portable Film School. And it has everything in it as far as producing a film, from camera, from editing, from post-production, from pre-production. It's got everything. So it's a good book to pick up. This is a good book. I was looking for, I used to have a couple books where they were basically, in the past, they used to write books when a TV show was a hit, or even if it wasn't a hit. If somebody involved in the show wrote a book about the show, they basically said, I want to do this book about the show, how it is produced for a low budget, considering it's a TV show. Most TV shows are lower than films, and it gets a lot of production value from the low budget versus a high budget. And I was looking for a book. I lost my copy. I forget the name of the show, but it was on NBC. It was sort of like in the Mission Impossible vein, where if you ever watch the old Mission Impossible shows, they did a lot of production value real cheap. I mean, it looked cheap, but nowadays they can do that, but it doesn't look as cheap because the technology is a lot better. I'm not sure what this show was called, so I was looking for that book. I still didn't know what it was called, and I found this other book, while I was looking for the first book about a production of a TV show. And it's basically the show House. And they go through the whole production of House. Each show has to be done in a week, and they go through the whole production of House. It basically shows how you can be streamlined in production. How, it's not a feature film, so you don't have months or you don't have a whole year to do your production. You have a week. So they have basically a boilerplate method for everything. They have a boilerplate method for casting. They have a boilerplate method for going through the lines of everyone, read throughs. They have a boiler method of editing. They have sound overdubbing. It's all done on certain days of the week. It's sort of like the way they do Saturday Night Live, where they have a whole week of production, and that's a live show. But this was a tape show, and of course it was House, and it was a very well done show. I mean, it looked like a mini film. Each week was a mini film. So this book was a good book, and it's written by Ian Jackman, with a forward by Hugh Laurie. So the one actor that was the lead in House. So it's a very good book. I'm sure there's other books for other TV shows. Um, I'm getting a lot of people following me right now, and that's why I'm putting my finger up to the screen. I'm using an iPhone, and getting a lot of interest in this program. So this is good. This is good. I'm not sure if it's this particular live stream I'm doing right now, but anyway. So let me wrap it up. So if you want to do pre-visualization and you don't know a storyboard artist, or you're not very good at art, or you want to do a little bit more than just a storyboard, I would consider seriously considering Mr. Spielberg's idea. Um, Getting your favorite movies, or just what you do is you go over your story, your scenes, and if you want if you want a wide shot, medium shot, close up, and how you want your scenes composed, and you break them down into scenes, 1 through 10 for 10 minutes, 1 through 90 for a 90-minute movie, or whatever, anything in between that, or a 2-hour movie would be a little bit more scenes. You break it down on paper, and then you think of movies that you've seen in the past that you like, and you want to emulate those movies. You want the same lighting, you want the same color palette, you want the same way the scene moves, the pacing. And you watch those scenes on DVD, and then you take the best of the best, and you could even have multiple DVDs of the same type of idea, for the a medium shot, or you have a close up, and you basically whittle it down to the best of what you like, and then you record those scenes on your camcorder, or your DV camera, and then you would edit those in your computer on video editing software. And that way, once it's all edited, you have a pre-visualization idea of what you want to do, and then you can take that to your location when you shoot, and you basically run through that as a rehearsal with the actors and with a crew, and then you basically use that as a guide to what your film is gonna look like. And that's about it for this week. I'm gonna be doing another live tutorial next week. I usually do them on Sundays, but I'm gonna look at when most people watch. Um, I've been looking at other people's videos when they do their live videos, and they're not necessarily done on Sundays. They basically do them during the week. Now I'm going to have to figure out too what time is good. Right now, this is a good time for me, after 5 Pacific time, but I will figure that out as far as my audience, because like I say, I'm getting more views. We're up to 70,000 views, and I'm improving my on-camera performance. I think I'm a little bit better. At first, I was a little, rusty. I had some experience in college, and I had some acting classes, but I think I just got a little bit of a stage fright. But anyway, I'm signing off. I hope you enjoyed this lesson about how Steven Spielberg does his pre-visualization. Thanks a lot, and have a good week.